Welcome to Reselling Basics. C is for cookie jars. Today, Two Dogs Digs, Craig Dawson, also known as Bad Dog, and the partners in crime today, Carl the Lazy Reseller, and from our basement, Good Dog, my partner, husband in crime, Rick, are going to talk to you about reselling cookie jars. Now, Carl is more of a watcher on this as opposed to so he'll be like maybe making some commentary. The reason that we decided that we needed to talk to you about selling cookie jars is actually something that came up on us this past weekend. Well, historically, we found a cookie jar here or there when we've gone to a thrift store. Carl, I'm sure you've seen a cookie jar here or there at a thrift store.
Yeah, but I tried researching them and then stopped.
Yeah, it's like it's either you think about researching them or you look at them and you think, I don't know if I'm something I want to get. What's a big deal? It's big. Well, we actually had a couple of them, and we actually had them and put them in our own Max Solds. These are ones that I picked up at garage sales. This was a Shawnee Vintage Piggy cookie jar that we picked up, and I think I picked it up either at a Value Village or garage sale for probably like $5 or less. It sold for $26. At our last auction, we picked up a couple that were $3 or $4 a piece, and these sold for $29 and $21 and $6. So all of a sudden, we started thinking, well, you never know. I guess cookie jars could be a place for us when we are thinking about our Max Solds. That was our goal. Well, this weekend, we go down to a couple of estate sales in upstate New York. One of them was somebody who had vintage cookie jars. Well, not only did they have vintage cookie jars, the pictures that they used showed a whole bunch of things. The first thing Rick saw in one of the pictures was a table, probably the size of a ping pong table or pool table, with, I don't know, maybe 20 or so cookie jars sitting on it, including two that are called, what are they called, Rick?
One is a Miss Priss, which is a kitty cat cookie jar. And I can't remember the name of the other one because you're putting me on the spot. But again, it's a vintage sort of baby-faced cookie jar.
Anthropomorphic. Yeah.
And I've seen them sell for, $200-$300. So I thought, those will probably be overpriced because it was an Edna Louise auction. And, somebody's going to grab them regardless of price.
Well, here's a couple of things. Cookie jars, just for the basics there, everybody, is they started actually back in the 1800s, but in the early 1920s, 1930s, they actually made it big. And that's where they started being made out of ceramic and bisque and things like that. And actually, there's a very famous thing. Andy Warhol, this is his cookie jar collection. So he had a very famous cookie jar collection. When you look at cookie jars, and again, this is something we didn't necessarily think about doing, but when we looked at cookie jars, if you go into Worth Point, the interesting thing we found there is there are over almost 700,000 cookie jars that have sold. Yes, Doug, 700,000 cookie jars. Doug can't believe how many cookie jars have sold. In fact, when you look up vintage cookie jars alone on eBay, there's over 5,000 sold cookie jars. Well, again, we didn't think about that. We just walked in this house. Now, when we got to the house was filled. But it was filled with so many people that 20 minutes after we got there, 15 minutes after we got there were 50 people outside of the house still lined up to get inside.
Oh, God.
I hate estate sales like that. People who get there at 8 o'clock in the morning for a 10 o'clock sale. There's 10, 20, 50 people. I looked at Rick and said, nope, we're garage selling. We're going to do other stuff. We'll pop back there in the afternoon. Well, we popped back there in the afternoon, and in the afternoon, we were there at probably about 2:30 or so, and it was on until 4. We're walking around the house, and there probably were still, I don't know, a good 60 to 80 to 100 cookie jars all over the house.
Yep.
Very clean house, too. It was one of those ones like their entire basement was shelves for cookie jars. And so we find a bunch that we're looking at there, and all I'm thinking about was, well, first thing you got to think about is, what's the price on them? Well, this is the first thing that surprised us. This is the cookie jars, and they were averaging over half of them were $8.
That's reasonable.
This one was $12.
Yeah.
Here's the interesting thing. This person who collected them. So you go to check out the cookie jar. You're looking at it like, okay, that's what the top is. Here's what the bottom is okay, this says W15 on the bottom. This person actually kept the receipt for almost every cookie jar we looked at. This particular cookie jar she bought at the Ontario Mall in 2015 for $125.
Oh my gosh.
And this house was filled with cookie jars. We found a few cookie jars in there that had prices of them, the original bills inside, 60, 70. We saw some that actually had the original bills inside that she bought in 2003, that she paid $125 in 2003. They were all priced between $8, $12, and then a couple of them were priced at $20.
That is so it's still there. It's amazing, isn't it?
Well, that's just it. Of course, we're not thinking about that, and we just let's see, where's that? We go and grab a few, and this is what we ended up grabbing. Sorry, I didn't have the other picture loaded up. This is actually the ones that we grabbed. We grabbed 14 cookie jars that we thought were the cutest, and what we were looking for mostly was characters, like interesting things about them. We didn't actually know much about cookie jars. Well, here's a couple of things just for basic education for everyone. Cookie jars have big brands. They were really big from 1940 to 1970. Here's names that I'd never heard of before. Abingdon Pottery, which is they're known for a series called Mother Goose. American Bisque. Brush Pottery. Now, I've heard of Hull because I've heard of planters and things like that. Metlex. Never heard of that. McCoy, yeah, lots of McCoy planters and things. Red Wing, nope, no idea. And Shawnee Pottery sounded a bit familiar, but this is some of the research we've done after we've come back home.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
As well as looking at themes, and there's so many themes that cookie jars come under. Advertising cards like Coca-Cola, Pillsbury, Nabisco, John Deere. Cartoon jars like Snoopy, Garfield. We didn't find many of those. A couple that we did we thought, we're going to pass on those. Nursery rhyme jars, Mother Goose, Red Riding Hood, holiday jars, Christmas, Santa, Easter, Halloween. And we did find a Halloween jar that Rick is going to show you and talk about. Cultural icons, the Beatles, I Love Lucy. We saw those as well. We saw no Beatles, but we did see like a James Dean and things like that. House cookie jars, which is big. So lots of cookie jars that are in the shapes of various kinds of houses, or even things like lighthouse cookie jars. So those are all the wild types of things you could think about. But I bet you didn't know how much. Now, one, how many people are still buying and selling cookie jars? That's a big thing. But Rick's going to show you the first one that he decided that we were going to grab. You can see it in a little back corner there. So he found this one where?
This was on a bottom shelf tucked in the corner.
Halloween.
It's a jack-o'-lantern. Oh, sorry. I'm covering up the price tag. It was $8. Sorry. It had heavy crazing on the bottom. It had the price tag inside. And for this one, McCoy jack-o'-lantern, she paid $150.
Less 50%.
Less 50%. So $75. Now, I did a quick lookup of the McCoy jack-o'-lantern. If you look on WorthPoint, you'll see some really, really nice pricing.
Oh my gosh. How could that still be there?
$705 sold on October 6th of last year, or 2 years ago.
That's
$705 in 2018. $600, $627, $550, These are just. This is that pumpkin that was sitting there, and there are 289 solds of pumpkin McCoy pumpkin twins.
They priced it at $8.
And they priced it.
I'm more surprised it's still there.
That's what we couldn't figure out.
It was on the bottom shelf. It looked like nothing.
Every time you see Halloween anything.
I just went down to the bottom shelf. Oh, this is cool. It's a jack-o'-lantern. Thinking Halloween sells.
Yeah.
It's
like,
not
even if
marked
you don't know
McCoy, but it is McCoy.
Yeah.
McCoy is usually marked on the bottom. So.
Well, we ended up finding quite a few. And the thing is that I thought was the interesting part is we've now started researching cookie jars. We didn't go back. Well, the thing is we spent $150 and we picked up a whole bunch of cookie jars. And now we've got these 14 cookie jars that you can see. And in some of the cases, I'm just going to show you that lot again. This little guy here, this mad Humpty Dumpty, Rick bought that because he thought that was really cute. That has gone for between.
Felt.
Yeah, that's how he felt that time of the day.
It's me with no coffee.
That's sold for I think $200. The one behind it with the candy cane is sold for $300 to $400. The one that's over right here, the duck, has sold for, I think Ricky said you found that sold for $200 to $300.
Yep.
There's that pumpkin that says sold for up to $500 or $600 to $700. There's a few others in there, and even the squirrel that I showed you that I had this guy has sold for over $200. So we were just buying these to put into a max sold auction.
He's so cute.
Well, they are not going into max sold now. We are going to learn how to pack them. And we are going to learn to watch out now for more and more for cookie jars. And one of the things that we found interesting was even when we looked at a lot of the sold cookie jars, you'll find that there are a lot of people who are still buying them that are worn. It's like the faces are all like the paint is worn. And I have probably passed by 50 of those at garage sale, estate sales, Value Village, Savers, you name it. I go, oh, look at that. Oh, the paint's all gone.
Mm.
And what we found is some of those with the paint all gone are still worth $200, $300, $400. So that is one of the things that we're going to stock up on the bubble wrap. But the thing that was actually interesting was, pardon me, this estate sale had been on for 4.5 hours when we got there. We asked the lady at the front. She said that, yeah, a guy had come just before us and he bought about 14 cookie jars. But he had just bought the 14 cookie jars. Now, that Miss Prissy Face or Miss Pie, those were gone.
Miss Cutie Pie.
Cutie Pie. But there were still 100 cookie jars in that place. We find them 4.5 hours into an estate sale, priced at $8 to begin with. I actually said to Rick, it was in 3 levels of the house. I was upstairs. Rick was in the basement. I came and met him halfway, and he goes, there's a bunch of cookie jars in the basement. I said, there's some really neat ones up in the bedroom. Well, let's go to the basement first. And we went to the basement first, got the bunch that we got, and then I said, now I want you to come upstairs. I want you to see the ones that I looked at upstairs were gone.
No.
The 2 or 3 that I thought were really neat were gone.
Oh.
We were looking at one that we looked at, found the slip inside that said that it was a $175 purchase, put it down to look at another one, and a woman grabbed that.
Yet, never put things down. Nowhere.
She opened it up and she looked at the slip and she said, what's this? Rick told her that's the price that the person paid for it. She put it back and took it and walked away. She was like not putting it down because it had an $8 price tag on it, and it looked like the woman paid $125 for it. So I'm just surprised they were priced that low.
Mm-hmm.
Paint over the glaze is called cold painted. Yes, I have seen that as well, and that's where it really looks kind of strange because there is cold painted means that there's a high gloss glaze on it, and it almost looks like somebody, correct me if I'm wrong, Sherry, but it almost looks like somebody did their own painting to it. It looks like it was done at a pottery shop because there's dull paint for the mouth and the eyes and things like that. The interesting thing, though, is if you're thinking about doing this, there's actually a website specifically, well, it's not mostly, for cookie jar sales. Who knew? Well, we knew. This is a site we want you to think about. If you're ever going to think about that, this is called the collectorcookiejars.com website. Rick's going to type it into the thing on the side there, collectorcookiejars.com. And what it is it's a membership. They have appraisals that they can do for you. but it is filled with cookie jars. They also have other collectibles in there. The way that it works is you pay $30 for registration, and you can list your items up to 3 months. In that 3 months, if you sell any, they charge 5% as their fee. But you can take a look in here, and you can see they've got all these different categories. And there they have Abingdon cookie jars. I'd never heard of this name before. This cookie jar is listed out of stock, and it was listed at $2,500.
That's sold on eBay.
That's sold on eBay. But you can see there's different. There's like another
my egg, my angry egg.
There's an angry $299. But again, you look at some of these, and I know we passed by ones that now again, this is asking prices. I know we passed by ones that in some cases looked kind of, yeah, that's not any good. I wouldn't have passed it by had I seen the witch because of just Halloween. But I never would have thought it would be a $2,000 cookie jar. Would you, Carl, if you saw it?
Oh God, no. But this is one of those awesome categories that hits multiple collectors, because you get the cookie jar collectors, but you also get the people who want the witches or the cartoon characters or the, you know what I mean? Like, you're hitting more than one type of buyer, which is a great object.
Yeah, like there's a Rudolph, $2,000 for a Rudolph. Like, and there's 26 pages of things in here for that.
Yeah, this particular site also helps you identify the maker of the cookie jar, and it can help with the research. So again, Craig said that these are listing prices, but you can take the title and some of the keywords and pop it into Terapeak or to WorthPoint or Google and see if there's anything outside of this site where it might be listed as, for sale or sold.
And here's an example of, I think, what like an Abisk chalkboard one. But look at the face on this. This is somebody's listing this for $299, and the face on this thing. Let's see if I can do it this way so it's bigger. Well, let me do it any bigger. The face on that looks pretty worn to me. So again, it's something I wouldn't necessarily have thought about getting. But somebody's got one for $299, and I might have passed that up. So we just want you to take a look at those sort of things. There's another one with a rub on it, $89. But still, we've sold lenticular ones before, which are ones that have winky eyes that we found.
They're called flashers.
We're not saying that you should go out and try and spend this entire thing is just, there's Disney cookie jars. And yes, some of them, a lot more of these Disney ones are not, they're $47, $49, things along those lines. $70. And again, you can use these though to get an idea as to where, as Rick said, grab the title from this, grab the maker from this, grab the description from this, like cheat your way through it. You don't have to be a member to take a look at anything that's on this page. You just have to be a member to view it. But here's a Ludwig von Drake thing, and there's a huge description for you to take a look at. So you can get a lot of things on here as a great research tool. So once again, that is Collector Cookie Jars. That's the homepage with the biggest collection of cookie jars and an appraisal service. All once you purchase an appraisal, we'll contact you via email with necessary information so they can help you with, look at that, $9 for one thing. If you have $59 for 6 to 10 things, that estate sale should have paid $289 and had 76 to 100 of those cookie jars that they had evaluated. We're shocked they went for that little. But Value Villages, thrift stores, Salvation Army, Savers, that's where we do see a lot of cookie jars for $7.99, $9.99, things like that. So take a look at them. Use your Google images to try and research what it is if you had to take a look at one, because it's very simple for you to actually just take that picture using Google Images. Use your Google Lens. Take that picture of that cookie jar, like I just did right there. There's a picture of the squirrel, and there right below, it's telling me that this is a Brush McCoy cookie jar, I can now do my research just from that. So it's brush pottery, squirrel with top hat, ceramic, and this particular person has it on eye collector. But it's on Worth Point. There's all these links that you can use your Google image for. So remember that when you're seeing that, there's a lot of money to be made in cookie jars. It's still something that I think doesn't discriminate against age. So it's not like some of the things where people are going, oh, well, the older generation like cookie jars. No, everybody seems to like cookie jars. And as Carl, as you said, it crosses so many things. If you're a Disney person, you might like stuff. If you just like flowers, if you like pumpkins, if you like Halloween, like things like that, which have nothing to do with, oh, that's like your grandmother's old antiques. These are all things that I think cross a lot more paths than we ever considered. And we've been selling for 25 years, and we never, I swear, we bought these thinking they would just go in our next max sold because we thought at $8 a piece, they were worth just putting in our next max sold.
Yeah, we could get $10, $20.
We could get $20 for each of those. And now we're like, holy crap, thank God we didn't do that. So take a look at those things if you're thinking about doing something with regard to cookie jars, and making sure that C is also not only for cookie jars, but it's also for cha-ching, cha-ching, which is the cash that you could make when you're doing cookie jars.